Welcome to this, the Thursday, or as we like to call it around here, the Friday Eve edition of the Todd Veinotte Show. I'm Dan Alstrand. Very glad that you're able to spend a few minutes with us as we tick another day off closer to the holiday season and tick another day off closer to the end of the year. It is now 1 week out, folks. For those of you that, like Vanessa Veinotte, who, of course, is behind the glass and always does a fantastic job doing what she's doing, Vanessa is a planner. So that's how we make the show work. And Vanessa also gets a head start on Christmas, and she's got all that stuff done. For the rest of us, and I count myself into that category this year, as much as I tried to get things done in time, nope, still got stuff to do. So 7 days and counting, folks. And I know that there are some of you out there that will wait until the 24th to do their Christmas shopping. Yeah, more power to you. If you can do that, that's your world. It certainly isn't mine. We'll talk about shopping here in a minute. But first, a sunny start to the day today. Temperature only going to hit about 3 degrees, according to our meteorologist, Alistair Alders. The real weather story for the weekend is going to happen tomorrow and later in the day tomorrow. Looks like we're going to hit 6 degrees tomorrow for a high temperature, which will wipe out what's left of the snow that is accumulated here. All I'm looking out over the north end now is at snowbanks on corners and such that is left after the weather yesterday. And if those warm temperatures aren't responsible for getting rid of the snow that's left, the rain that's going to accompany it is certainly will do that. There are chances of 20 to 30 millimeters of rain to fall tomorrow. Again, that's not going to start until tomorrow evening. So it looks like the day tomorrow is going to be nice, but the going into the in the evening and overnight hours is when we're going to see the change in the weather. With those 20 to 30 millimeters of rain, according to Environment Canada's special weather statement, we could see winds gusting up to 100 kilometers an hour. That is significant. And that, of course, immediately to my mind brings the worry of power outages. So if you've got one of those generators out there that's connected to your house to keep the lights on, you might want to get some gas for that today or tomorrow, because tomorrow night we're looking at some significant wind here in Nova Scotia. What's happening in the news? Well, we, of course, heard last week from the Premier at Cabinet, or the Cabinet News Conference, who was being questioned quite vigorously, I will say, about the decision to have the Justice Minister kind of encourage the RCMP to crack down on illegal cannabis operations in Nova Scotia. This is what the Premier had to say last week.
I've talked to people in law enforcement have told me in this province that they've taken illegal cannabis from unregulated illegal dispensaries and tested it and found that it was laced with traces of fentanyl.
That's scary. That's absolutely scary. And almost immediately, the community, the indigenous groups, and those that have purchased cannabis from these shops outside of the purview of NSLC all said, I've never heard anything about that. Well, our newsroom reached out to the RCMP yesterday, and this is the statement that we got from them. It says, we rely on Health Canada to conduct all laboratory testing of seized cannabis. Based on the information currently available to us, the Nova Scotia RCMP is not aware of any fentanyl being detected in cannabis products seized by the RCMP from illegal storefronts in the province. They went on to say, and the caveat is that we can't speak for any other police services, though. There is, however, a risk, the RCMP write, it may contain unexpected or potentially harmful ingredients. And then they went on to say, we want to remind Nova Scotians that cannabis sold through illegal storefronts is not regulated by Health Canada. Consumption of substances that aren't regulated pose a risk to the user. And that was part of their statement that they sent to us yesterday. So, was the Premier misinformed when he spouted that out? I will say that he was under some pressure when it came to reporters' questions when he said that. I'm not going to suggest that he's deliberately misleading the public. I don't think that he is. But it feels to me that he may be misinformed with regards to this. And if there is evidence, if the Premier has seen this evidence or somebody's told the Premier they've seen the evidence on the fact that there may be cannabis that's laced with fentanyl in Nova Scotia, I think the public has a right to know that. That stuff is deadly. It's not even that it's serious. It is deadly. And I have not heard of a large influx of overdose or people that have died as a result of fentanyl exposure because of cannabis in Nova Scotia for a very long time. I don't think ever. But it begs the question, if the Premier was misinformed or if he has this evidence that this is happening, that I think he needs to come clean with that. Might be something you want to talk about when we open up the phone lines here at 11 o'clock. Great game down at Scotiabank Centre last night. The PWHL returned to Halifax, and fans were treated to one heck of a game. 1-1 into end of regulation. Overtime decides nothing. Then it goes to a shootout. And who else ends the shootout for a victory for the Montreal Victoire but Captain Clutch herself, Marie-Philippe Poulin, with the winning goal to give Montreal the win over the Toronto Scepters. Now, the league is going to return for a second go-around of these takeover games, as they're being called, in January. There's been a lot of discussion because of the dual dates that Nova Scotia has received as part of this. There's been a lot of talk about expansion of the Professional Women's Hockey League, PWHL. And I think if you put one and one together to get two, there may be some interest here in Halifax to see a PWHL franchise play at Scotiabank Centre. So I'm going to put that question to you when we open up those lines again at 11 o'clock today. Do you think that Halifax would support a professional women's hockey team? We know that the community, the province, and even the region support the Halifax Mooseheads, right? Although Cape Breton Eagle fans and Moncton Wildcat fans likely will disagree with me. But we know that the Halifax Mooseheads get second best attendance behind Quebec in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, period. The tickets for that event last night sold out, I'm told, in minutes. Not hours, not days, minutes. So there is some interest in it. We know we have top-tier sports in this city, right? We have the National Lacrosse League. We have the Women's Soccer League, which is top-tier soccer league in Canada here, and they're both supported. Hockey is quite popular. I wonder if women's hockey would be popular, if that's something that we should consider here in Halifax. Might be something you can join the conversation on when we open up those telephone lines after 11 o'clock. Very quickly, before we take our first break here on the program, I was watching CTV National News last night, the Sandy Ronaldo 5:30 cast. It wasn't Sandy, but you know what I'm talking about. And they did a report last night on the cost of Christmas dinner. And it was done in Charlottetown in Prince Edward Island. The good news out of the report was turkey was up, but not by a whole lot. The little packages of gravy, you know, the cheaters, as my mother used to call them, they're about the same price as they were. Mixed vegetables in the frozen mixed vegetable bag was actually a little bit cheaper because they were on sale this week. And potatoes were close. So it's up a little bit over last year. I think if you did the math, it's probably up what we expect it to be up with inflation. But the item that really caught my attention, and it drives home the point that we've been talking about here on the show with Sylvain Charlebois and people in the food industry, was the roast. The reporter, and her name escapes me now, and I apologize for that, picked, I don't know, it was 3 pounds maybe? I think it was like a sirloin roast. It was an oven roast. It was big. It was, a roast to feed a family. And in 2024, that roast cost $25.92, based on old flyers and data that CTV managed to put together, which, in my mind, was about right. That's what I would have expected it to be. You can sometimes get those roasts cheaper when they're having one of their sales, but that what it kind of felt like to me. It felt like it was a $25 roast. Well, she picked one out of the cooler about the same size at the store and turned it over to reveal the price tag last night. How much do you think it was, folks? I would have assumed, because the prices are up and we've heard the stories about beef prices being inflated this year because of drought conditions out west and the shortage on supply and the tariffs and all of this stuff that works into the calculation of food prices. How much do you think that roast was? Well, when she turned it over and she revealed the price tag and the camera zoomed in on the number, that roast, that $25.92 roast last year, was $65.64. We were talking about sticker shock yesterday. How about that? I'm getting set to go out this weekend. This is my traditional weekend to go out and get the fixins for Christmas dinner at my house. And I really don't know what to do this year. Certainly not going to have beef. That just isn't going to happen at that price. So I'm going to put the question out to you. I'm on the fence. Is it turkey or is it ham? We'll get the answer when we open up the telephone lines at 11 o'clock. Getting ready to take our first break here. When we come back, it's that time of the year again. We're focusing on flu season. We talked to Dr. John about it, and he said that he's seeing people arriving at his place of work at Dartmouth General that are suffering from different respiratory ailments, as he calls it. The flu season, is it on us? Is it bad? We're hearing stories about kids losing their lives in Quebec because of the flu. It has been a long time since we've had a conversation with infectious disease specialist Dr. Lisa Barrett. She's going to join us in studio here when we come back. We're going to dig into the flu season, the flu shots, and what we can do to protect ourselves, particularly at this time of the year when we're getting ready to get face-to-face with a lot of friends and family. You're listening to the Todd Veinotte Show. It's Thursday Eve. We're back after the break. All right, welcome back. It was funny. We were chatting off the air, and Dr. Lisa Barrett, of course, is here. And Dr. Barrett was a fixture on this program when we were going through the pandemic. I think it was almost a weekly call that we had with her, and she was bringing us the updates on what was going on with COVID and all of that stuff. And then we kind of have lost touch, and she was joking that people are like, good, I don't have to talk to you. That must be a good thing, right? Dr. Barrett, hello and welcome.
Thanks for having me back.
I'm glad that you're here. I guess we'll begin with what's happening out there in HRM and in the broader sense of the word with the flu season. Is it fully on us now? And what kind of flu season are we experiencing, and can we experience this year?
Right. So we're definitely into the ramp up for influenza. And as folks may know, influenza travels across Canada in general from west to east. So it starts out getting higher out west, and then we get that ramp up. And we're starting to see that now. Nationally, about 20-some-odd% of the tests that are done for influenza are positive. So that's 1 in 5. That's getting up there. And we're a little bit behind that still, but the rate of increase week over week is going up. So we are into it from the perspective of the rate is increasing, which means we're probably going to peak a little earlier than we usually do, which is early January, and now we're thinking of the holidays. And that's why we're all looking around kind of with a little bit of stress on our face that we're going to see a lot of people sick around the holidays.
Right, and it's probably the worst time of the year for that, right?
Yeah, from a health system perspective, that's a time when people are trying to take a little time off. There are a lot of sick calls, and you have a little bit less capacity in the hospital. So we really worry about that, but also not just health systems, there's actual human beings behind this.
Right.
And when people get sick and they're getting together, not only does it spoil your holiday to be the person in the corner, big fever, sick, and not able to enjoy your family, there are some vulnerable people out there, many vulnerable people out there who are going to get really sick and need medical attention, and that's never fun around the holidays.
Dr. Barrett, we've all read the stories about some of the flu outbreaks that are happening out west, and particularly with some kids in Quebec that have lost their lives because of this strain. That is certainly a terrible story.
Oh, I can only imagine, and I just I commiserate deeply with their parents and communities as well. It's worth pausing on that. Children and young people that don't make it through an infection. We often say the words flu and cold as if they're the same thing.
Right.
They are not the same thing, and it's influenza that's getting high right now. That virus that's circulating right now that just killed some young people. And has put younger humans and 30, 40-year-olds in the other part of the world where it was circulating, down in Australia, has put people in hospital more than usual. So I think we should just pause for a second and think about that this is a virus that we need to pay attention that's circulating right now.
Dr. Barrett, do we know what the strain is this year? Is it a more difficult strain this year? And of course, the eternal question with that is the flu shot that is circulating now, is it effective against this strain?
Yeah. So we're still learning about this particular virus. It's H3N2, that alphabet soup. The H and the N refer to parts of the virus, and they are two parts of the virus that shift or drift a lot and try and hide from your immune system. That's why we concentrate on the H and the N parts of the virus. And when those numbers shift, we know that sometimes it can't be the vaccine might not be a great match. This particular one that's circulating at the moment is a subtype of H3N2 called, it's been called K subclade in the literature. We're still learning about it. Is it clear that it's worse clinically for every single person? We're not sure yet. We do know that people are showing up at emergency rooms, hospitals, and health providers in other parts of the world more frequently. And that matches what you just talked about, deaths, things like that. So is it a worse strain? We're not sure. Do I think it's an important shift? Yes, it is, because it means that the virus that's circulating may be worse for people who get it, and it actually makes vaccines more important. So is it a perfect match this year? It's not. And people are like, throwing their hands up in the air, my gosh, no, that this means it doesn't work. Not true. So let's just get that off the table. That is not true. A vaccine still prevents disease, even when it's a mismatch, better than not having it at all. This vaccine is still just as safe for all the people it's recommended for, including pregnant women. And so this mismatch word, I just want to get it away a little bit. Is it quite as protective? Maybe not. Is it orders of magnitude more protective than not being vaccinated? It is, and it is still likely that it is working well enough to reduce spread to other vulnerable people around you. So the best gift you can give your older folks and people with medical problems around you this Christmas is making sure you still get out to get a vaccine, even if you yourself don't consider yourself at risk. So think about it.
Dr. Barrett, vaccine hesitancy it's hard to say, is on the rise.
Yeah.
I'm sure some of that's being fueled by the bombardment of stuff that we're getting across the border and so on and so forth. I guess your thoughts on people that are leery to get a jab.
Yeah. So one of the reasons I think I'll be philosophic for a second.
Fair enough.
There's nothing in this world in human behavior that's an absolute, right? And there's people out there with genuine questions that are great questions. Ask your questions. Something doesn't have to be all good or all bad. And that includes a vaccine. If you have questions, you want to know, hey, am I going to get, I hear about these febrile seizures, fever seizures in kids. Like, what if my kid gets that after I get a vaccine? Talk to your health provider about that. Oh, they're exquisitely rare. They almost never happen. They almost never have a lasting effect. And yeah, this is still a protective thing to do for your child. Have conversations with your health partner, people that know something about this, and use some really trusted resources online, because not everything out there is reliable. And the other thing people say to me, well, I've been really keeping up on my social media. My feed keeps telling me these are dangerous. These are dangerous. Just remember how your feed works. I remind myself of this every day. For things I believe in, for example, vaccines. Remember that your feed on your social media feeds you things that reinforce things you want to see. And that's why I actually go looking, not for the things that tell me vaccines are useful. I go looking for the data deliberately on my social media that are different than what I think. So when you're out there and you're using social media and other sources, try looking for the opposite as well of what you want to find, because you need a balanced approach. And that's that's the one thing I say to people. Take a hot second, even if you don't trust people that are in healthcare or you think people are influenced by big pharma, go look for something that doesn't just support what you think. Go look for the opposite, because that's what scientists do. That's what I do as a scientist. I go out and I don't try and prove myself. I try and disprove myself. Think about that for a second. And you'll actually find some good information, and go for the sites that are really, really well vetted, and ones that say absolutes like this is the best thing since sliced bread and there's no downsides, or that say vaccines are horrible and there's no benefit. Chances are you've gone to the wrong sites if you see either of those absolute terms. You need to get some moderation. You need to hear both sides. And I love it when people ask me and they ask hard questions. I think that's great. Bring it on. Ask me hard questions. That's wonderful. Have a thoughtful decision, but just don't sit at home and not do something because your echo chamber told you not to.
Dr. Barrett, we're almost out of time. We know that that COVID is working its way around as well. It's still here. It hasn't gone anywhere. HPV is out there. Obviously, vaccinations will help to prevent us from being infected by this. But as somebody that studies what you do, what are your recommendations for us as we get ready to go out and spend some time with friends and family and not to get sick at the end of it?
Yeah, not too late for vaccines at this point. And again, Nova Scotia, COVID and flu are free for everyone, RSV for most people. So if you're in those groups and they're recommended, go for it. Not too late. And we're going to see that peak early this year. So please try and get out and do that. But the easy stuff, if you're dripping all over yourself, maybe hold off on, going to see the most vulnerable people for a couple of days. Think about in big spaces where there might be folks that are also sick. I tend to wear a mask on occasion still, especially if I'm going to see some vulnerable people. Definitely if I'm going into the hospital. It's full of people that are going to get this. I mean, if they get it, it's going to be a problem. So please try and do that. Hand washing, understanding your hygiene, respiratory hygiene. If you're going to swipe at the nose with a hand, take a bit of hand sanitizer with you. And also, easy things like tissues are one-use things. Those sound so silly, and they're so important. So a bit of flexibility on when you have your gathering if someone's sick. Vaccines, they are available. They are safe. Make it out there. And just wash your hands. I know, it's like kindergarten, but it's true.
It worked during COVID.
Yes,
we saw a big reduction in people getting sick. Dr. Barrett, I appreciate you stopping by today. It's nice to see you again.
Great to see you.
And we look forward to perhaps visits in the future. Have a fantastic holiday and stay healthy.
And for you.
We're going to stop and take a break. Blake's going to update us on what's going on in the news. On the other side of it, the Halifax Mooseheads are going to wrap up the first part of their season tonight with a home stand against the St. John Sea Dogs. Garreth MacDonald, our play-by-play announcer, will be in next. You're listening to the Todd Veinotte Show. I'm Dan Olstrand. We're back in minutes. Halifax Mooseheads managed to stave off a rally from the St. John Sea Dogs in St. John last night and came away with a victory in a home-and-home series, which will wrap up tonight down at Scotiabank Centre. And, folks, that's going to do it for the first, I don't want to call it the first half of the season, but for the first bit of the season as the Mooseheads get ready to take their Christmas break and the players go home and they do all of the festive stuff that they do with their families before coming back to Halifax for their next set of games, which begin on the 28th of December. As we have done several times here on the program throughout the year, we're welcoming in, I call him the best in the queue, and many of you will agree that is our play-by-play announcer, and that is Garreth MacDonald. Garreth, how are you?
Wonderful, Dan. How are you doing? Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you. It's the kids will get a break. The hockey players will get a break. The franchise will get a bit of a rest for the holidays, and so will Garreth MacDonald.
Sure will, Dan. Looking forward to it, huh? Do you have any big Christmas traditions, holiday traditions? What do you have cooking up?
Well, working usually.
And that's a good tradition.
It is. It keeps the bills paid. Absolutely.
There you go.
Garreth, the game last night, the herd came out roaring a little bit and managed to stave off a late rally from the Sea Dogs and came away from St. John with a victory last night.
Yeah, managed to bank a couple of points. Definitely not a perfect game there for either side, I would say. I think there were probably stretches the first couple of periods where it felt like some guys' attention might already slip to, what's under the tree this Christmas break. But it was a little touchy, a little sloppy at times. But the Moose, hey, credit to them, they managed to make the most of their chances. Got a couple of big goals from Quinn Kennedy and Sean Carrier. Quinn Kennedy, hopefully that is something that he can build off of, can get him going in a positive direction. He was a fantastic player, acquired from Rimouski right around this time a year ago, and basically a point per game pace since coming over. But maybe the production has slowed a bit here, his first full season with his hometown team. So a couple of big goals there last night. I think that should get him trending in the right direction. Sean Carrier has been phenomenal, leading goal scorer right now here for the Herd in his second season with them. And so some big goals there, lots of production. Owen Bresson, he was fantastic in goal in that first period. The Mooseheads did give up a couple of real key scoring chances to the Sea Dogs, and he came up with some fantastic clutch stops. So, big 2 points. They do hold off the push there in the third from the Sea Dogs, and they'll get set to do it all over again here tonight, last game before that holiday break.
Garreth, the Moose making an addition to the roster last week, I think it was, adding an overager. Is that a sign of perhaps looking for a little bit more veteran leadership on a relatively young team?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you look at the roster that this group started the season with, and even kind of shifting the focus back to last year, which was really the first year in the rebuild for the Herd. The team actually started this season younger than they would have started last year, and I mean, a big part of that is beginning the year with just one overager. You can carry three. I think everyone knows that by the time you hit that overage year, you're locked and loaded. You're ready to play. You've kind of got a good lay of the land. And the Moose, they've got a whole lot of good young talent, a lot of talented 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds. They wanted to give these guys a good look, lots of ice in the first half of the season. But you do need that veteran leadership, and that's what Samuel Rousseau is going to bring. Comes from that great culture in Rouen, Noranda, had 3 good seasons with them. And this year, his 20-year-old season. He's been playing out west in the BCHL with Victoria, and he's been putting up some phenomenal numbers out there. So a big ad for the Mooseheads. As you said, brings some experience. He knows what it takes to win in the queue. Was real big against the Mooseheads last year during that second-round playoff matchup where the Moose were swept in 4 straight by Samuel Rousseau and the Rouyn-Noranda Huskies. So that is a big ad for them. Unfortunately, unfortunately, wasn't in the lineup last night, and there is a chance right now that he does play because he was in the BCHL last year. That's a league that operates outside of Hockey Canada. He still has to be reinstated by Hockey Canada before he can return to the queue. So right now it's basically waiting on a bit of administrative paperwork before he's eligible to play. But there is a chance that he's in the lineup tonight for the last game against the Sea Dogs before that holiday break. But again, if he doesn't play tonight, I guess we'll have to wait till December 28th for him to make his debut.
When we turn the calendar into 26, Garreth, is the roster set now, do you think, or does Cam Russell and his group have some more moves in mind as we get closer to the heart of the winter season?
Yeah, it's a good question. I guess we'll have to see how everything shakes out here during the trade period. I mean, you look at the standings right now, and there's just so much parity. I think there's only 12 points right now that separates third spot from 16, and there's only 18 teams in the league. There's a lot of parity. It's a very competitive league this year, and I think that's for a number of reasons. I know we've talked about it before. The extra import that you can carry this year. We've seen more players from Europe in the league. That's brought up some of the talent level, and on top of that, the NCAA rule change last year that's allowed players that want to play NCAA, they can come here to the queue and play early. That's led to a bit of an influx of talent from the United States. So, yeah, I don't think I'd be surprised to see the Moose try to add, maybe one more overager there. As we said earlier, you can carry 3. I think a little more veteran presence in the lineup wouldn't hurt, but I guess we'll have to see what the price tag is for Cam come that trade period.
We of course tonight's game, the last game of the first part of the season here, Garrett. Looking back, the Herd currently sitting in 5th place, but only a couple points out of 3rd or out of 4th. Is this kind of where you expected them to be? Is this where the franchise expected to be at this point of the season?
Yeah, and I think going into the year, and again, this is something else I think we kind of touched on before as well. Just with the team being as young as it is, and all those other variables with the extra import, the free agents from the U.S. that have come in, it was kind of tough to get a good gauge on predictions, heading into the year. But Halifax had a real good month of October, a lot of games on home ice. And, there's been past seasons here recently where that hasn't always been a good thing. I think we've seen teams, not exactly rise to the occasion and in front of the hometown fans. But, with all those games at home, I think the Moose had a real solid first half of the season. That was, again, as a result of those games on home ice at the Scotiabank Centre where the Moose, played well. They banked some points early. Heading into the break right now, they're kind of in a bit of a rough patch. I think the last month without Matthew Taillefer, one of their veteran defensemen, they have struggled a bit. But again, at the same time, I think if you told Cam Russell and Brad McKenzie here in his first year as head coach, the team would have 16 wins in their first 30 games, I think they definitely would have taken that. So I think they're in a pretty good spot right now. As we said, things are pretty tight in the standings, and the Moose are right in the mix, heading into the second half of the year.
Mooseheads unveiled a brand new dressing room for their team last week, and it certainly looks very professional, all kinds of bells and whistles and so on and so forth. I imagine that likely helps in the recruiting effort, but the one thing that they left out that I didn't see, at least, Garreth, was a spot for you in that dressing room. Did they give you a nice place, or are you still locked in the closet?
You know what? I don't have my own stall. There's there's no special room there for the radio guy. But you know what? I'm an unsung hero with this team, and I'm just going to soldier on, Dan.
Fair enough. I know he sounds a little disappointed, doesn't he, folks? Maybe we'll make some calls and have a conversation with the Mooseheads, and maybe they can give you the closet that I'm not using anymore.
Well, see what you can do, man. See what you can set up for me.
I'll do my very best. The Moose take on the Sea Dogs tonight down at Scotiabank Centre. Garreth will be live with the call as always. Garreth, we're going to wrap up the season here before Christmas, and then or the first part of the season before Christmas, and then of course after Christmas we get ready for those lead ups, and of course the all important New Year's Eve game against Cape Breton.
It should be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to that for sure.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Merry Christmas. My best to you and to your family, and go Moose go.
Go Moose go. Hey, happy holidays, Dan. Merry Christmas to you and all of your loyal listeners. All
right. That is Garreth MacDonald, the best, bar none, the best play-by-play announcer in the Quebec Junior Hockey League, and we look forward to his call here on the program each and every night. Oh, boy. He sounded a little disappointed he didn't get a spot in the dressing room. If you haven't seen the pictures, by the way, folks, they're on the Mooseheads website. It really is a fantastic-looking facility. It has brought it into the new millennium, I guess. Can we even say that anymore? Anyway, and check it out. And we will, of course, be cheering on the Mooseheads. And you'll hear every game live right here on 95.7 News Radio. When we come back, a year-end conversation with our friend from Esprit de Corps magazine. That, of course, is Scott Taylor, and Canada's need to reduce its dependency on U.S. weapons systems. This came to light, of course, as we continue debate over what the next fighter jet for our country will be. You're listening to The Todd Veinotte Show. I'm Dan Olstrand. We're back in minutes. Welcome back. From time to time, we welcome our next guest on the program to discuss things military, and of course, lots of discussion about the military as of late, with the federal government committing to spending to GDP targets, and a big shot in the arm for the military when it came to the budget this time around, and many eyes on where that money's going to be spent, and so on and so forth. Very pleased to welcome to the show from Esprit de Corps magazine. That is Scott Taylor. Scott, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm not doing too bad. It's interesting. We watch David McGuinty a couple weeks ago committing another $200 million, I think it was, to the effort in Ukraine. I get questions about this all the time. Do we know how much money we've handed over, money and material that we've handed over to Ukraine since this war began 4 years ago?
I think the number is something close to like $11 billion, but some of that was in hardware. We gave them actual tanks. Like some of it's hard to quantify in terms of what it actually was worth, given the depreciation that would have been on it, but a lot. I mean, for the Canadian military, we didn't replace inventory that we gave to them. We gave them armored vehicles, and we didn't issue a contract to replace those vehicles. We gave them tanks, and we didn't buy new tanks. Like our own combat cupboard is bare, and then we've got leaders running around saying that it's never been more of a dangerous world, and here we are depleting ourselves. And then, of course, the glacial pace of our procurement system is such that, even if at the beginning when we talked about this, it was, everyone thought that this war would be over one way or the other very quickly. And now that we're 4 years into it, no plans have been laid, like no contracts have been issued. Some are starting to be issued now, but the military is in a very difficult tipping point right now, because even with the money that they're saying they're going to spend, I mean, it's huge. I mean, we're going to spend $63 billion in the defense budget before March 31st of this year because the goal was to spend 2% GDP within this fiscal year, and they say they're on target to make that. They've done some creative accounting by including the Coast Guard budget, moving them into the defense world, things which could have been done years ago to make it look better, but they're not actually adding in terms of real defense. So, in this $200 million that they're going to give to Ukraine, it isn't coming from Canadian companies. We're giving that to the U.S., who have forced us to do this support through them by cutting their own aid to Ukraine. So, I mean, like him or hate him, Donald Trump is actually in a win-win position here. He's making other countries pay American companies to give aid to Ukraine, which he has also stopped, and is trying to force Ukraine into accepting a settlement from Vladimir Putin. So we are aiding the guy who's trying to end the war against the people that we're trying to support. Like, it's a very complex situation.
It certainly is, and it has put a great big magnifying glass this year, particularly over the last 12 months or 13 months since Donald Trump started to do this tariffing and all the other stuff that he's doing south of the border on our reliance on U.S. military goods, and I think that first and foremost at that discussion point is the next generation of fighter jet for Canada. Is it going to be the F-35? Is it going to be the Gripen? Is it going to be neither?
Well, this is, the one that's the most obvious because, of course, it's somewhere we can hurt them in the pocketbook. They want us to spend more money on defense, but what they really want is us to spend more money on U.S. defense. And we had Prime Minister Mark Carney say, look, we're not going to be bullied into this, elbows up, and we need to wean ourselves off this close to 75% dependency on U.S. weapon platforms and move closer and align closer with European countries, et cetera. And here would be an obvious way to do that would be not to cancel the 16 that we've already put on order for the F-35s, but take the remaining 72 and issue a contract to Saab of Sweden for the Gripen. And it's one of those things where it would send a huge message because it's going to be another, I forget the number exactly on there, but like $22 billion of the program that hasn't yet been contracted, which we could give to someone else.
Then the pushback on that one that I hear, Scott, and I think I know what your answer is going to be to this, is that we might make ourselves even more thin when it comes to maintenance and those kind of things if we have two different kinds of fighter jets. But we've had a long history in Canada of having multiple weapon platforms, be it at the Air Force or at the Army or even in the Navy.
Yeah, well, aircraft do different jobs. The Gripen is more of an interceptor, and it's meant to patrol the Arctic skies over Sweden. That's what it was designed for. So, we also share an Arctic, and that's where we're looking to seem that our enemy would be coming from that direction. Whereas an F-35 is a strike fighter. It's meant to be used day one to go in against the near peer and take out air defenses, which if we're there with the Americans on day two, isn't that good enough kind of thing? Like, why do we need to have all of our aircraft in a mode that it's unfathomable that Canada would ever attack some other nation on its own without being part of an alliance. And Canada did have, in my generation when I was serving, we had the 104 Starfighter, we had the F-5 in great numbers here as an interceptor in Canada, and we had F-18s coming online. We had three different types of aircraft, and we had a lot more of them, by the way, than we do now. And Australia, for instance, maintains F-35s and Super Hornet F-18s. So it not only can be done, it is being done by most other air forces. So when the U.S. ambassador tells us that we can't have more than one type of aircraft, we should tell him to go pound salt.
His own Air Force has more than one aircraft, right? So
they have many aircraft,
right?
Yeah, and thousands of them. But telling us what we can and can't have is something of an imperial consul, not an ambassador.
Scott, is there or are there viable alternatives to U.S. weapon system platforms, or are we kind of bound by geography?
We're not. We're part of a NATO alliance, which is now, I think, we're at 32 nations. Obviously, a number of those, like Sweden, having just joined, but they very sophisticated weapon systems that they make, and Norwegians make and sell sophisticated weapon systems even to the U.S. So we do have other sources that we can go to, and probably should be going to.
Your thoughts on? We talked about Ukraine off the top. Your thoughts on that conflict and these ongoing, and I'm putting quotations around it, peace negotiations. Are we going to see an end to fighting in Ukraine in 2026?
Unfortunately, I think we are, because essentially the U.S. dictates. They're the only ones that can make the munitions and the weapon systems in the numbers that Ukraine needs. Other NATO countries, as well as Canada, have been having to pool their money and put it to the U.S. to send weapons to Ukraine, which, eventually that's going to become tiresome for President Trump, and he's going to want to end this thing at some point. And I don't believe it's going to come with the terms that most NATO countries would see as agreeable. I think it's going to require Ukraine to give up some territory and accept concessions, which probably would have been on the table 4 years ago. There was a deal put together in March, just a month after the invasion, when the Russian army had proven itself to be a paper tiger, and they were like had been destroyed at the gates of Kyiv. And the Ukrainian armed forces had a strong bargaining position, and they did cut a 16-point deal in Istanbul, and it was British UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson flew into Kyiv and said, take that off the table. And if at the end of the day, after 4 years of fighting and 4 years of losses and 4 years of all this money, they end up accepting a deal that looks very similar to what they could have got in March of 2022, it's going to seem like an awful lot of waste. And I think that's going to would probably spell the end of President Zelensky.
The coalition, the willing, the NATO countries that are supporting Ukraine obviously stand with President Zelensky's thoughts that they don't want to cede any kind of territory. Is this going to put NATO on a collision course with the United States on yet another front?
Well, I mean, we say the United States, but I think it puts them on a collision course with one man, and that's President Trump. And I think it's been his will and his whims, which is impossible to predict. I mean, this is the actions that we've seen even just in the last few weeks. It's just so unpresidential. It's impossible to even calculate where it's going to go next. How would you, if you were Prime Minister Carney, how would you see yourself appeasing what he might or might not think the next day?
Scott, have a fantastic holiday, and all the best to you and your family in 26.
Right back at you. Take care.
That is Scott Taylor from Esprit de Corps magazine. We talk to on occasion when it comes to all things military. We're going to stop. Blake's going to update us on what's going on in the news, and on the other side of it, we are going to open up the telephone lines. It's time for the open hour. Normal rules apply. You can bring whatever it is to the table, and we'll have a discussion about it. 902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. A couple of things that I'm curious about with the success last night of the Women's Hockey League in Halifax, that event selling out in minutes. Can and should Halifax support a professional women's hockey league franchise? The league's looking at expansion. Does Halifax make sense to you? The Premier, is he misinformed when it comes to fentanyl in the cannabis sales, in the illegal ops, as he calls them? He said during cabinet yesterday or last week that he has seen, law enforcement has told him that there have been tests done on some cannabis with traces of fentanyl found in it. The RCMP adamant that they haven't seen that. Is the Premier misinformed on this? And the eternal question, with food prices the way they are, I haven't decided on what Christmas dinner is going to be yet. Is it going to be turkey or is it going to be ham? I'm looking for your thoughts on it. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. The open hour after the update. Welcome back to the open hour. I'm Dan Alstrand. This is the Todd Veinotte Show. The lines are open, 902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. Your chance to chat about whatever it is you want to talk about. During just before the break, I was talking about the Premier and if he was misinformed, and some of you might be wondering what the heck I'm talking about. So Vanessa has some audio of what the Premier had to say last week when he was under reporters' questions about the reason for the Minister of Justice to ask the RCMP to, for lack of a better term, crack down on illegal cannabis dispensaries in Nova Scotia.
I've talked to people in law enforcement have told me in this province that they've taken illegal cannabis from unregulated illegal dispensaries and tested it and found that it was laced with traces of fentanyl.
Now, that's a serious allegation, right? That stuff is dangerous. Just a little bit of fentanyl can cause catastrophic damage to people, for lack of a better term. It can kill you very easily. And that should be a cause for concern, should it be true. Now, we reached out to the RCMP on this matter, and the statement from them was, and I quote, that we rely on Health Canada to conduct all laboratory testing of seized cannabis based on information currently available to us. The Nova Scotia RCMP is not aware of any fentanyl having been detected in cannabis products seized by the RCMP from illegal storefronts in the province. We can't speak for other police services, though. So our newsroom, our diligent newsroom, reached out to Halifax Regional Police, and we just heard back from them, who will and have echoed what the RCMP say, that they haven't come across any cannabis that has been laced with fentanyl. Not to say that other police services in Nova Scotia have, but I think if that was the case, we'd have heard about it. So is this a case of the Premier being misinformed? Or is it something more serious? 902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. Also, successful event last night down at Scotiabank Centre, the PWHL featuring Montreal and Toronto. The game was outstanding. The game went to overtime. Then it went to a shootout and almost a storybook ending. Captain Clutch, Marie-Philippe Poulin, as the winner, and that's the winner for Montreal, as they are victorious. The Victory are victorious over the Scepters from Toronto. That event sold out in minutes, folks. Minutes, not hours, not days, minutes. It leads the question. The league is looking at expansion. Should PWHL franchise be awarded to Halifax, and would it be supported? And the eternal question, with food prices the way they are, is it turkey or ham this year? 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Let's begin with David. David, how are you?
Great. How are you this morning?
Good. What's on your mind?
A couple items. First of all, we'll tackle the hockey game last night. Was in attendance for that, along with the youngsters, and it was quite the experience. It was just like the big leagues, if you want to call it that, but I wasn't impressed with the facilities. Second time being there. The last time before they put these new seats in, seems like they jam more seats in to get more people. Concessions were way overpriced. The tickets for the game, very reasonable. Actually, they're a few dollars more than the Mooseheads, the Mooseheads I think are overpriced. But that's another story for another day. But the concessions, the lineups for the restrooms, taking the young ones into the halfway down the hallway, the prices for they're treating it like big league, Dan, and it's not. And I think they got to look at the situation. Yeah, they had 10,500 people there. We enjoyed it, but you were crammed in there. You were like beans in a can. That facility is built in 1979. It wasn't built to hold 10,500 people. They put box up in the skybox up off the roofs. They put seats in the corners where there weren't seats when they built it. I was in there when the car shows used to be there in 79 and 80. The old orange seats were in there. It's really, really jammed. And it's way too stuffed with people with not enough facilities. What I mean by that is the bathrooms are terrible. Right. The situation they have there is terrible. You're shoulder to shoulder, bumping into people walking down the where they serve the food, where they serve the drinks, the little kiosks that are there with beer and so on and so forth. Like if they want to play with the big boys, then you got to really look at another facility. I think the Scotiabank Centre is getting numbered, and that's just my opinion from being there as an outsider looking in. I don't go to the games and sit there and know exactly what's going on. What I did is I went there and seen for the first time what is going on. So I took notes of everything. And if a fire broke out in there or something happened, it would be a mess. I've been in Ottawa. I've been in the Bell Centre. And, yeah, they're bigger, 20,000 people, whatever, but they're just built for that. This is not built for that many people. I don't know what your opinion is on it, but for
David,
us home for 2 hours, like the downtown.
Well, the traffic, yes, I'll agree with you on that for sure.
You can't put 10,500 people in there, expect them to bring their car or go on transit and get out of that little hellhole.
Yeah,
pardon my expression, because that's what it is.
Oh, I agree
it's
with
in
that.
the wrong spot. Yeah, it's you can't promote it. You can't. it wasn't built for that back in '79. Same as I talked about our streets, but that's again a story for another day. But it was 3 hours for us to get home. Like it's brutal.
That is brutal.
And I don't know how you fix it. Maybe, here we are talking about money again, and a bigger stadium somewhere or whatever. You're talking about bringing the PWHL here, and we got the Thunderbirds. Yeah, we're growing, we're getting bigger, but that's not going to do. Like I was crammed in there, and taking the little one to the bathroom and missing half a period. I didn't pay money for that. I didn't pay money for a $12 hot dog or a $9 bag of popcorn. Like it's not professional. I've been in Ottawa, like I say, Montreal. That's professional. That's different. This is trying to be like the big boys when you're not. And did I enjoy the game immensely? Would I go again? For sure. Would I go there all the time? Not a chance. Not a chance. And I don't know how people do it.
David, I appreciate the call.
Thank you very much.
Have a good one. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Not to belabor the point, the last National Hockey League game that I went to was in Las Vegas a couple of years ago. I went to see the Golden Knights and the Avalanche. And some of the problems that David was identifying with what happened last night, outside of the traffic, of course, at, the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas, I experienced the very same thing there. The not enough bathroom facilities. You're lined up to get in. It's less than hygienic when that happens. That's all I'll say. The hot dogs were very expensive. The beers were even more expensive. So I don't know. I've not been to the Bell Center. I've not been to Ottawa, so I can't compare what David was telling us about. But the last NHL hockey game I went to, I won't use my experience in Toronto because we know that place is insanity overpriced. But when I went to Vegas, it was very much the same. It was lineups, and it was you would miss part of the period because you were trying to go to the facilities. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. We're back with the open hour after the break. Welcome back to the Todd Veinotte Show. It is the open hour. Lines are open, 902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. That's the number to access the show. Again, 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Let's welcome Carl to the show. Carl, how are you?
Very well. How are you? Happy holidays. I want to give a big shout out to Todd Veinotte. I hope he's doing well. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I was curious. Now, that hunk of meat that you were pricing there at $65.
Yeah.
Now, was that cloned meat?
No, I doubt it. I doubt it. Well, we don't know because they don't label it anymore.
That's my point.
Right.
That's my point. If it's supposed to bring prices down,
right,
you should be proud to say this is cloned beef, right? And look how much money you can save by buying this product, right?
Right.
I think they should be marked. This secrecy thing of, you don't know what you're getting. I mean, come on. How are we going to know if it's really saving us money or not?
It's interesting that there was a big discussion several years ago about product of origin labeling, right? To put what country these things were coming from, and that discussion raged for years, and now we're going to take the labels off of stuff that people might have a serious concern about because of its origin not being from a country but being from, I don't know, from a petri dish.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, right? With mad cow disease and all this stuff we've experienced over the years. I mean, good Lord. I think we should know what we're buying.
Right, I hear you. $65 for a roast, would you pay that for Christmas?
If it was cloned and it was cheaper, maybe I would.
Thanks, Carl. I appreciate it.
Have a good day.
902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. If you're curious what we're talking about, CTV National did a story at a PEI yesterday. They compared Christmas dinner last year to this year. Turkey was up a little bit. Some of the side dishes, potatoes up a little bit. Gravies were about the same. The cheater packages. Vegetables were down a little bit. But the roast, they had a sirloin roast. I don't know. Was it 3 pounds maybe? And it was $25.92 last year. This year was $65.64. Yikes. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255.
Thank you.
Hello, Eric.
Hey, how you doing, Dan?
Good. What's on your mind?
Not too much. Forgive me, I'm in the drive-thru if you hear a worker.
What are you ordering?
It's just an ice cap, you know.
There you go.
Not that time of year, but hey, so I'm calling about Tim Houston and the whole cannabis situation.
Right.
I've been wanting to call in for a while because it's a little infuriating. I mean, first of all, the First Nations community, we all know how much they've struggled and suffered, and I just think it feels like an attack in this situation. He mentions the fentanyl. As the RCMP themselves said, there's hardly any evidence of that. And there's laws against these sort of things. It's almost libel. These businesses that work hard every day, you know, to sell these services, this product to their people, they could lose customers. These are hardworking people. I myself only purchase from the reservations, and I've been buying from them since cannabis is legalized.
Eric, and I don't mean to cut you off, Eric, but I'm curious as to why you buy from those dispensaries as opposed to the NSLC.
Thank you. So the biggest reason has to be the price. You go to the NSLC, you're lucky to get 3.5 grams for under $40. For $30, you're getting half an ounce, which is 14 grams at most of the places I go. And he was also talking about it being too potent. I've been smoking for a while, and it's not too potent. It's exactly where you want it to be. It feels to me like the real reason behind this is maybe the sale numbers aren't where they want to be for NSLC, and they're being beaten by these individual companies. And I think at the end of the day, if they want to bridge that gap, they got to lower the prices and make it more accessible for the average Nova Scotian to go into the liquor store and purchase these items.
I think the bottom line is that when you buy those products from those dispensaries, the province isn't getting the same tax money that they would be if you bought it from NSLC, right?
Exactly, and that's definitely where it's coming from. And I can understand the province is trying hard to recoup some losses, especially after COVID. Everybody's suffering, but I don't think that targeting these First Nations communities is the way to do it. I know the law is the law, but at the same time, we all know that this is their land. These things grow on their land. I don't see the issue with it. I think if the government wants to recoup that money that they're losing from taxes, there's other ways to do it. And this is just such a weird position, in my opinion, for the Premier, who for a while I think was in more favor than people expect him to be. And at least for me, who didn't really have a problem with the Premier, this does shed him in a negative light for me.
Eric, I appreciate the call. Enjoy your ice cap.
Thank you very much, Dan. Take care.
902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. What I think needs to happen here, folks, and I think this has to happen, it will have to happen at a national level, is that the law of the land, the courts, the Supreme Court will need to rule on this very much like it did with the Marshall decision. I have been unable to find a court ruling, and I know many of you have sent me stories of challenges that have happened that have been thrown out by the courts before they got to the process. But I have been unable to find a court ruling that definitively says that that Indigenous communities in Canada have a right by treaty or just a right in general to sell cannabis at a dispensary. I have been unable to find that ruling. I think that it needs to be challenged. I think it needs to go to the courts, and I think we need to have a ruling on this so that everybody understands the whole situation with this. But I think the Premier coming out and making an allegation that some of these dispensaries, he didn't say all of them, some of these dispensaries are selling cannabis that's been laced with fentanyl. I think that if he has that evidence, if he has that that data, I think that is certainly a public safety issue, and I think that needs to come to the forefront. That's just my opinion. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Hello, Tony.
Hi, Dan. How are you today? You ready for Santa?
I am ready for Santa. He's going to be on the show on Christmas Eve, so make sure you stay tuned.
Oh. Well, I'm calling today about this government legislation with or mandate they want us to wear masks.
Okay.
Do you remember 2 years to flatten the curve?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Do you remember 2 years to flatten the curve?
When we were in COVID, yes, I do.
Yes. Well, this is 5 years now. The masks haven't helped. The needles haven't helped. People are getting sick. And I have to go into 2 nursing homes to see family. And Dan, I'll be honest with you. I can't breathe. I feel like pillows are putting on my face. It's my space. And if, let's say my dad wanted me to wear a mask, I would stay home. But I don't think it's up to the province to tell us what to put on our faces. You know, your body, your choice. This is wrong. These vaccines are killing people, injuring people. I do podcasts, Dan. You get them. I send them to you. I send them to all mainstream media. It is time people look at both sides. You don't have to agree, right?
Well, that's what we do here on the Open Hour. But, Tony, I'm going to disagree with something you said. You said that the nursing home is your space. It's not your space. It's the people that live their space.
Yes, but when I go see my father, for example, that's my space between him and I. If it's okay with him, it should be okay with the province. I'm not making people sick. The government is making people sick.
You don't know that you're not making people sick.
Yeah.
Vanessa comes into my studio and she has a cold and I get sick. That's where I got it from, right?
Yeah, I know this from the doctors, nurses, funeral embalmers I had on my podcast. You get them all. They have been speaking out, and I love to see them on with you to interview them. Like Peter McIsaac, Gordon Berry. All these people need to be heard. And you know what, public? I love people. They don't have to agree with me, but they should listen to the other side. Canada's in trouble, Dan. We are headed to a crash. You see what's going on south of the border? The vaccines are being blacklisted. Well, there's a reason. Doctors, nurses, they're all speaking out against it. And by the way, Lisa Barrett, challenge is on. If you're listening, you can come on with me, and I'll invite some guests anytime. Anytime, Lisa Barrett. You are welcome to come on a podcast with Tony Lomas. I welcome it.
All right, Tony, appreciate it, sir. Have a good one. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Lots to unpackage there. Maybe we'll do that after the news. All right, welcome back. 902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. The open hour continues. There's a few lines open if you want to get into the conversation. Again, 902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. We welcome Sandra to the show. Sandra, how are you?
Oh, I'm fine. Thank you. And I want to thank you and your team for investigating the comment Tim Houston made regarding the fentanyl and the marijuana. And, I didn't pay too much attention, other than initially I did think that, this was over control of the marijuana use by our society. And the first thing I thought about was the reservations. And I disagree. Well, anyway, I mean, your previous caller, Eric, everything you said, I totally agree with. But, I think more importantly, the issue here is that, our premier made a statement that was unfounded. And to me, this sounds like Trump. He's spreading lies and misinformation to scare the population for their own benefit, right? And, it's sensationalizing something that, if fentanyl has been found in some marijuana in this province, then come out now and say so. Show us the evidence. And the great thing is that the 2 largest police forces in the province have come out and said that they have never tested anything that has had fentanyl in it. So what's going on here? It's just control for his own benefit. and I don't know. I just can't believe that this is what our governments have come to, that they can say what they want without backing it up, and I think that they have to respond today, because enough has been said to question what he's saying, and that's all I want to say about that.
Appreciate it, Sandra.
Okay, thank you.
902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Lies and misinformation, I can't say that it is or it isn't, because I've no information to say either or. I'm hesitant to call anybody or say that anybody's lying until I have some actual proof. But I think that from what Sandra said, that there certainly needs to be clarified if there is this stuff out there in the system, then that becomes a public health issue, right? And if that's the case, then I think that kind of evidence needs to be brought to light. That's all I'm saying. I think was the premier misinformed? Maybe. I don't know, because I don't know where he is getting that information from, considering that both the RCMP in Nova Scotia and the Halifax Regional Police have both said that they have had seized marijuana tested and have not returned a fentanyl result. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Hello, Jack.
Hey, how's it going, Dan?
Good. How are you? What's on your mind?
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Suggestion for a Christmas thing.
Right.
Cornish hen.
Okay.
And they come in 2-packs.
They do.
Sobeys sells them in 2-packs. They're $20 for 2 Cornish hen. I don't think they're geared towards like a family thing. It's more or less single or like a couple.
Right.
And $20. They're the third of the size of a turkey and a third of the price.
What do it taste like? I don't think I've ever had one.
Have you ever eaten grouse?
Yep.
Similar. They're a little bit gamey.
Okay.
Yeah, but they're good. They're $20. You get them in 2-packs for $20.
Right. I think I've seen them in the grocery store before. I don't think I've ever had one.
Yeah, they're really good. Yeah, they're really good. Throw some rosemary, bay leaf, and some thyme inside them, and put some garlic butter underneath the skin.
Right.
Good to go. Yeah.
Making me hungry, Jack.
Oh, yeah, they're good. The other question I have is,
sure.
the suppliers that provide marijuana, the product, to the NSLCs, is it checked after, like, you mean the suppliers sell it to NSLC, and does NSLC through provincially, do they do their own analysis checks for fentanyl, that sort of thing?
I would assume so, because it's for public consumption, but that's just an assumption.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't do my research about that before I came on, but I apologize. Anyways.
All good, Jack.
Okay.
Thank you. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. The Cornish game hen might be something I'll take a look at, because, even chicken prices are not where they have traditionally been this time of the year. I've been buying whole chickens and cooking them in my air fryer, which is a really efficient way for me, because I'm the only one that eats them in the house. So I get a smaller chicken, I put it in the air fryer, an hour, and you're done. So anyway, 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Hello, Sarah.
Hello. How are you today?
I am well. What's on your mind?
Well, actually, the lady that was on just before the other gentleman pretty much said everything I was going to say.
Okay.
I've been smoking. I'm well-educated, have worked all my life, and in fact worked for the company that's given us the problem. Mr. Houston is a great man. I really like him, but he's wrong about this. Why would anybody put that in there when it's such a ridiculous lie that I can tell you that after 50-some years of smoking marijuana, that there's never been a trace. One little salt thing of fentanyl would hurt somebody, and we would have heard about it. I just came from my place on Caldwell Road, And we had a discussion there, too. I've been going there for years. I've never bought from my employer. And it's a scare tactic. And it's also because of the taxation. The stores have become increasingly richer because of them selling the product that they do. Nothing wrong with that. But we should have the right to go where we want, and I would almost say 100% that there has never been anything in that stuff that shouldn't be. And I do know that the Aboriginal people that have their places, most of them, I've been through and seen them, and they do test their stuff from the supplier. They don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to lose their spot. So, Mr. Houston, it's a scare tactic, and don't scare people, because for many people, it's a great way to keep them healthy, actually. So nobody has to agree with me. Like you say, Dan, this is just my opinion, and have a great day, and I hope that they're listening, that it was a scare tactic more than anything else.
Sarah, before we let you go, I asked our previous caller, Eric, about this. I'm going to ask you the same question. Your decision to purchase your cannabis outside of the NSLC, is it purely based on cost? Is it quality? Is it a little bit of both?
Both.
Right.
Absolutely both.
Okay, I appreciate
Absolutely.
that. Thank you.
No problem.
Have a good one. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. We'll continue the conversation right after this break. All right, welcome back. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255 is the number. We were talking about cannabis and NSLC, and a couple of callers say that they make the decision to purchase their cannabis outside of the NSLC because it's cheaper and that the quality is better. And Rob writes, on the topic, I just wanted to mention that NSLC recently providing air miles for cannabis purchases, which makes sense. They've been getting air miles for liquor purchases for a long time, trying to incentivize the customer. On the topic of quality, Rob writes, the NSLC has better cannabis. I've bought at the reserves many times and can never find a good strain even when I pay the highest per dollar value. And that comes to us from Rob. I'm at a loss here, folks. And I'm not preaching, and I'm not getting up on the pulpit and shaking my fist. I just don't consume cannabis. So I don't know what who's right, who's got the better weed than others, because I just don't consume it. So I'll have to take your all word for it. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255, and we welcome Luke to the show. Luke, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. What's on your mind?
Well, a couple things with the marijuana. I'm a veteran, so I order from a licensed producer.
Right.
But I've been around the industry on both sides of the fence.
Right.
The fentanyl thing is complete horseshit to me. I think you're exactly right. I think there have been public health notices and things about that. I think that the private companies like that are on the reserves, I think our province would probably learn a little bit from Ontario, maybe, where Doug Ford has allowed that to happen, and he has put into place that they supply them, and I think that's important, if
Sure.
they want to make their money, right?
Yeah.
And all that.
All right,
the
Luke.
last caller, there was a previous caller about vaccines and,
Right.
and things like that. I think we should have that conversation. I think at this point, I think we've gotten past, what we need to know and what has been learned. And I think it's important that maybe Lisa Barrett should attend a debate about that. I'm not going to go into details about that, about what my thoughts are, but I think it's time. I think it's time, and I'm not saying measles vaccines or anything like that. I'm talking about COVID vaccines, and I think it's important that we talk about that as a society, and that's all I got to say today, Dave.
All right, Luke, appreciate it, sir. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Let's welcome Tony to the show. Tony, how are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you, Dan?
I'm well. What's on your mind?
I want to chime in with on a similar subject about the vaccines and stuff. So,
sure.
I'm 70 years old. I was a 33-year-old veteran, and I've received more vaccines than you can count in the 13 different places I went, including the Far East. I'm also was a paramedic, so I have some experience in that. With regards to the flu shot, I was not ordered, but I was encouraged, we'll say, to take the flu shot. In the early 2000s, I got severely sick from that. To fast forward, I was in the reserves, and the vaccine mandates came out, and I was back. The mandate said that you had to get the vaccine. I didn't get it. Why didn't I get it? Well, the reason I didn't get it is because I did some research, and I found that the vaccine is not safe and effective. So my point, I guess, is that we do need to have a conversation about this, but nobody wants to do that. I would encourage Lisa Barrett to go on the other caller's podcast and defend her position. I'm very particular what I put in my body. I'm 70 years old, or almost 70. I'm in very good physical shape. I work out an hour to 2 hours a day. I eat very, very expensive but very, very good food because I'm particular what goes into my body. So that's why I refuse to take the vaccine. I was in a vulnerable sector, being in between 65 and 70. Probably 96% of that age group took the vaccine. So I'm a person that never took it. Last time I was sick was in February of 2020, which I think was the bad flu that was called COVID-19. Since then, I've never been sick. I've never had COVID. I don't wear masks, and I didn't take the vaccine. So I just wanted to put that there are people that have differing opinions, and quite often we don't get a chance to talk. So I do appreciate having the opportunity to say that. And I don't know if you have any questions for me, but I'm willing to take any questions. So.
No, Tony, I think I'm good. I got a number of callers I want to get to. I appreciate you joining the show today, though.
Okay, Dan, thank you.
902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Let's welcome John to the show. John, how are you?
Great, Dan. How are you?
I'm good. What's on your mind?
I'm the president of the Sackville Lions Club.
Okay.
And I just want to give a big old shout out to all the service clubs out there doing dinners for seniors, support and all the different projects and stuff
right
at Christmas time, giving their time, their talent, and trying to raise money to give away into the community and make our community better.
There's a big need out there, is there not?
There's a huge need. And the other thing I saw on the news the other night was they're saying that Christmas trees have run out. I can tell you, if you venture to the Sackville Lions Club, we've still got a great selection of trees from 6 to 9 feet.
There you go.
And,
so if you're a last-minute tree shopper, your mystery has been solved.
Your mystery's been solved, and that way we can give that bloody money back to the community.
You got it. John, I appreciate it, and thank you for all the work you do.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks to everybody out there that volunteers at Christmas.
Have a good day. Merry Christmas. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. If you're putting it to the last second if you're going to go get a tree now. Where are we? Let's go to George. George, how are you?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm well. What's on your mind?
Well, these dispensaries, Todd. I wonder why the reserves didn't sell marijuana when it was illegal. Because if they're saying it was their treaty right to do so, I don't get it. Why didn't they sell it before when it was illegal to do it?
I don't have the answer for that.
Well, that's what I don't either. I'm just wondering. And why aren't they selling alcohol there, Todd?
I don't know.
You know, they got cigarettes. They got marijuana. They may as well get alcohol up there and start selling that. at a discounted price. I mean, I think it's illegal and it shouldn't be allowed. And I think we all got to follow the federal government's laws in the country. You can't have 2 sets of rules or 5 sets of rules for all the population bases in this country. We all got to follow and live by the same thing, I think. I think the reserves benefit greatly from the federal government as it is. I don't know about marijuana. It's illegal, period.
It's not illegal, though.
Well, you said you couldn't find a basis for it.
You said cannabis was illegal. Cannabis is
legal
for selling in Canada.
But like this. Well, if Dan and I were to open up a dispensary, I don't think we'd last too long, Dan.
Well, I think that there have been dispensaries that have been opened. Anyway, George, I want to get to more calls. I appreciate it. There have been dispensaries that have been opened up across the province, and all 118 that were identified in by the government as illegal were not. All of them were on reservations. So just for a point of clarity. Last word today, that goes to Wayne. Wayne, how are you?
Not too bad. How are you today?
I am well. What's on your mind?
I'm hearing all of this controversy over the marijuana, the natives selling the marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
We also have to realize that when these dispensaries and everything are taking tax money out of the economy, when we look for social assistance and everything else, where does this money come from? And with the cigarettes and the marijuana that's being sold on the reserves for practically nothing, really, where's the money coming to help, like mental health and people that are on social services and low-income people that are getting assistance from the government? Where's this money supposed to be coming from? If the natives or the First Nations want to sell marijuana, they should be selling it to their people. That's what it was intended for in the first place. And the same as the cigarettes. That was meant for reserves. When they go to the service station and they buy gas, they get a great big discount because they got a First Nations card. Why don't they give the people the same thing, Just that the money for all these programs that the governments are providing has to come from somewhere. Yes, it might be a tax grab, but it's still paying for a lot more, and it's more beneficial to be buying from a local merchant than to be going on the reserve when you shouldn't be getting those discounts in the first place that were meant for First Nations.
All right, Wayne, we're out of time. I appreciate your call.
Thank you.
902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Remember that number because 2 reasons. 1, we're going to do this again tomorrow. The Friday Free-for-All will take over at 11 o'clock. And number 2, when we come back from the news at noon here, the show will continue. It's time for our last visit of the year with our veterinarian. Dr. Jeff Goodall will be here to answer your questions about your dog, your cat, your bird. Ask the Veterinarian with Dr. Jeff Goodall right after the update at noon. Welcome back. As I mentioned before the break, it's now time for our final visit of 2025 with our friend and our veterinarian. That is Dr. Jeff Goodall. Dr. Jeff, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing out there? I hope everybody's doing well.
We're doing okay. We're getting ready for Christmas, as I imagine you are at your clinic and, of course, at home.
Oh, yeah, we're just really busy lately. Look, Merry Christmas to Vanessa and yourself, and, of course, Todd and his puppy dog, and I hope everybody's doing well out there. All I was really going to touch on this morning is just to remind everybody about, we've got cold weather dangers now. We've got to be concerned, especially in the littler dogs, about hypothermia. I've had a few reports. We didn't see it in our clinic personally, of dogs that are just basically experiencing hypothermia. And that's basically when the internal temperature goes too low. So, if you have, especially in the littler dogs, they just expend heat out way too often, or way too easily, better word, sorry. And having them in a jacket, having them in boots, training them to get used to the boots, because that can be a bit of a challenge, is imperative. And the symptoms of, hypothermia are, lethargy, decreased responsiveness, discoloration of the skin. You've got to get on the phone to your veterinary healthcare provider or the emergency clinics in order to get some guidance on what to do. I don't want to give recommendations on what to do because each case is different. Reminder too that if clients are changing their antifreeze in their cars and they spill any, it's very sweet. It can attract dogs, not so much cats, though cats can walk through any puddle you leave behind, and a little bit of antifreeze on a cat is enough to, lead to their imminent passing. So keep that in mind, and it can cause, acute sudden kidney disease. Those ice melting products out there, it's another one that shows up this time of year. They're generally not toxic in very minimal exposures, but even salt can cause irritation to your pet's mouth, to their foot pads, to their skin if they lie down on the sidewalk. So, wipe them down when they get in the house. A little bit of a warm cloth is all you really need. Warm, moist cloth is all you need to get rid of it. You don't need to soak them down, wipe their bellies, wipe their feet. Again, the idea of booties can't be overstated. I think that's enough. I mean, I could go into, if you want me to I'm having a moment today. Oh, yeah, holiday hazards, which, are poinsettias, holly. I guess I instead of going down that path, just remind everybody, if you're having family over for celebration, make sure you have a quiet, safe space for your pet. Those pets can get overwhelmed pretty easily. So creating a quiet space with some water, some toys, a nice bed, especially that they don't slip out the door when visitors come, is a really good idea. But I don't want to eat up time on that. And, if you want me to delve into it, just call in and ask.
Dr. Jeff, you mentioned jackets, and it's this to me, and I certainly stand to be corrected, has become a more recent phenomenon than I can remember when I was growing up or when we had pets at home. Are jackets effective, or are they all the same, or is there one style or one sort of design that's better than the other? I see all kinds of weird stuff out there.
So if you're asking, like you're right. Well, I can't say personally for you. I mean, when I was younger with my dogs, all my dogs were northern breeds though, so they all had big, thick coats. So coats for me were a source of derision, to be honest. And I wonder sometimes if the dogs deride each other too. But in the end, I think your question is one coat better than another? Is that where you're going?
Right. Because I see everything from yellow rain slickers to hoodies to all kinds of things on dogs when I'm driving in the morning.
I don't know if there is one better than another. I mean, part of it is client convenience. In other words, they don't have to dry their dog off as much with a raincoat on. Excuse me. And in the wintertime, especially with those middle-sized to smaller dogs, they have to be in a coat and maybe even a hat and boots. You just train your dog to them. It's a production. I did it with my last two dogs. You put two boots on the front legs and leave the back legs alone and have them walk around the house for a minute, take those off, give them a treat, give them rewards while you're switching booties to the back feet, walking around the house. The first day or two, they'll do some high stepping, almost like the Monty Python silly walk. Right. But it's worth it because last year we did have a few dogs who did have reactions to the salt and the ice melter, which is why I wanted to bring that one up.
Right.
So I haven't answered your question because I don't think there is an answer. I don't think there's any one better coat than another.
Is there a sweet spot for animals that wouldn't require a coat or a jacket? You mentioned northern breeds, and I guess maybe that's where I'm coming from too, because all our dogs were northern breeds and had big, thick fur coats. Is there a sweet spot where we should start considering wearing a jacket on a different breed of dog?
Well, I mean, anytime the temperature goes negative, I think, if it's too cold for you, it's too cold for your dog.
Right.
If you're going out with a coat on, then start thinking to a point, then start thinking about it for your pet. How about that?
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. You mentioned the road salt, Doctor, and the ice melters and the need for the booties for the dogs in the wintertime. Is there a summer edition of that? Because you and I have talked about asphalt being very hot on dogs' feet.
Well, that's a really good point. We did have a dog years ago who burned their feet on some freshly laid asphalt. So I guess the sweet spot there is common sense. If it's too hot for your bare feet on the pavement or the sidewalk, in reverse, then, you should probably consider and have already trained your dog. Should have already trained your dog to the boots for that anyway. I don't think your dog at all needs a coat in the summer weather. It's probably going to lead to overheating and a lot of other problems like dehydration. So, I think I've answered that. Sorry, I'm really distracted today.
It's all good. It's Christmas
but go
time.
On.
Boots and coats, not for the kids, for the dogs, and as well. Obviously, you recommend keeping cats indoors, so that would be a moot point for cats this time of the year, right?
Well, cats will not take coats well.
Right.
It's very rare. I'm not going to say never. It's extremely rare that a cat's going to take coats well. And deep sigh here, if you're going to let your cat outside, you're just asking for trouble anyway. But if they go out with even a collar that won't break away easily, they can lead to choking hazards and stuff like that. Because cats, unfortunately, when I used to work emergency, we saw a cat who reached up with their back leg to scratch their chin and managed to get their rear foot looped into their collar and caused some very serious injury leading to amputation. So, you have to make a breakaway collar is my point. You have to make the cat's collar a breakaway collar is my point. And so putting a coat on a cat is just asking for more problems.
Yeah,
just leave your cat indoors. You just don't have many veterinary problems.
Right.
People complain about the price of veterinary medicine. Just like human medicine, prevention. Don't put your cat or your dog in a situation, and that comes back to the holiday hazards. Don't allow your pet to be in a situation that could lead to some form of serious condition and problem, like turkey gravy, ham, especially in the middle and tinier sized dogs. That can cause pancreatitis, obviously gastrointestinal upset. And guess what? A vet visit that you could have probably avoided. A little bit of turkey off the table. If you're going to do that, and it's hard because look at those faces, those big brown eyes. I mean, I get it. I'm an owner too. And just take that little piece of turkey, pop it in a coffee cup, fill the coffee cup with halfway with water, put it in the microwave, boil the heck out of it. Ideally change the water, do it again, then cool it, break it up into little strands and give that. You're just leaching out almost all the fat. You're basically left with just a simple protein. And that is relatively safe to give to your dog, okay, and your cat. Same with the ham, same with bacon. Those are dangerous foods for dogs. The companies that make treats that are like real bacon, let's be straight. Like real bacon means it's not bacon.
Right.
So, because I've had clients in the room say, well, there's bacon treats out there. And I'm like, no, basically the dog got sick from eating bacon. I'm like, no, they're not equivalent. You can't compare them.
902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Dr. Jeff is here to answer your questions about your pets as we head into the end of the year and into the winter season. Again, that number is 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. We are back with Dr. Jeff Goodall from Sunnyview Animal Clinic after the break. Welcome back. He is Dr. Jeff Goodall, our veterinarian from Sunnyview Animal Care Clinic out there in Bedford, and he is here to answer your questions. 902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. Dr. Jeff, let's go right to the phones, and we welcome Luke to the show. Luke, how are you?
Good, man. I called earlier, and anyway, on a different topic.
Sure.
I've got a little 6-pound albino Chihuahua, and he has some issues with seizures, but they're not unconscious seizures. They're more on his feet, like it's almost like he's drunk, you know, and he kind of stumbles around a little bit, and that's been happening constantly. And I've gone to the veterinarians out here in Lake Echo, and anyway, I'm been getting emails here about neurology. For neurology and neurosurgery. I'm just looking at the email. Anyway, I'm not really sure where to go with that. I have gone to the, I forget the name of it, but on Portland Street, and they provide medication for that. And it seems to be working, but like you don't have your eyes on your dog all the time. And I don't, you know, I've been warned about sort of damage that might be caused in the brain. And so I'm a little bit worried about that. And so I'm wondering if that's something it's worth the investment. I mean, it's probably going to be expensive, and I don't have insurance or anything like that. And yeah, so I'm just wondering about that. I also thank you for the Coke recommendation. I put him up for a pee, and he pees right by the door. He just wants to get back in.
All right, Luke, let's let the doctor have a go at your question. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, so in the interest of time, so let's just talk a little bit. How frequently does he have, so he's on medication, correct?
He is, yeah.
Okay. And is he seizing in spite of the medication? Has the medication made a significant difference in his and your quality of life?
It has, yeah. It has, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely has.
And so how many seizures a month is he having while he's on the medication?
Well, it's been a lot less. I'm just worried about when I'm not around him.
Nope, we're going to talk about that in a sec. But interrupting you just for the interest of time, I apologize for that. But so, like, I recognize, yes, you're probably only seeing half the seizures. You're exactly right and very astute to think about it. But where I'm going, in the interest of time, is if he's having more than one seizure a month on medication, you may want to talk to your vet about rechecking the situation. Is he on phenobarbital or on another medication?
I don't have it in front of me right now, but it's like a flavored medication from.
Okay, well that doesn't help, but I appreciate that. So is it twice a day?
No, it's 3 times a day. Hold on a second.
Okay, so you're probably on Keflex. Now, there are other options. I meant Keppra, sorry. Pardon?
Yeah, I think it might be that. It's
okay. Well, where I'm going is Keppra is kind of an inconvenient in medication. It's 3 times a day typically. There are some breakout seizures. And, you know, I recognize that so I guess the question you're basically asking is, do I have to go for a neuro exam or not? That's really what we're talking about here. And I would argue if his quality of life and yours are good and the family's not worrying, instead what I would do is treat this as if it's basically what are called secondary seizures. Well, I guess you could call it primary because we still don't have a cause for the seizure. So call it primary seizures. And if the dog is, you know, relatively healthy otherwise, start keeping records as best as you can. If you don't write it down, you won't remember. And so have a book somewhere, and every day that there's seizure that you know of, or you come home and you find maybe he soiled the house or something, just write it down, the date, the time. If you see him have a seizure, write down the severity of it and give it a score out of 10. Give his reaction afterwards, like how fast he came out of it, a score out of 10. And with the time and date, the length of time he seizes, and the result of, or how fast he comes out of the seizure state, and how fast he becomes back to normal, you and the family can basically decide if he's worsening, better, or no change. And if he's better or no change, and you're happy with how he's doing, then I would argue it might not be time to re-evaluate the use of the Keppra. If he's doing badly, I have to ask another question, or if he's worsening, I have to ask another question. At one point, was he on any other medication for his seizure?
No, I'm looking at the medication now. It's called it's from East Coast Apothecary, and
okay, but is it levetiracetam or is it potassium bromide? Is it phenobarbital? What's the big word there?
Levetiracetam.
Okay, so you might want to talk to your vet about going back to phenobarbital. It's a little cheaper. It's twice a day. Ask his or her opinion on that. Nothing wrong with Keppra. It's just typically, it's more popular in my experience for, well, I rarely use it without using it with another seizure drug is where I'm going. I don't usually use it as a single agent or a single treatment. I'm just talking my personal professional experience. I mean, we have 4 vets in our practice right now, and most of them have the same mindset. So I guess fools seldom differ, or great minds are thinking alike. But phenobarbital is probably your better choice. So just write that down, phenobarbital, and ask your vet, hey, can I switch to this? It's cheaper. There's a little more blood work involved initially, but after that, you can get away with once a year blood work, presuming everything's good. Keep your costs down. And coming back to your point of your question, I don't think you need a neuro exam unless with that record keeping I spoke to, writing down the date, time, or length of the seizure, his recovery, how you and the family feel he's doing. If those things are good, you might want to reevaluate the medication. It may, not only because it's 3 times a day and a bit of a pain to give, but phenobarbital is, again, much less expensive, much more readily available from human pharmacies, right? Sometimes you don't have to always go to your vet for medication. Let's keep the listening public aware of that and go from there. I think that's all I can say about it without knowing more about the case, though, my friend.
Luke, I
do wish
appreciate
you a
it.
very Merry Christmas and best for 2026, of course.
Of course. Luke, I appreciate it. All the best with that. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. There's a couple lines open. If you have a question for Dr. Jeff Goodall, he's going to stick around for us here after the update. Blake's going to update us on what's going on in the news, and we'll continue our Ask the Pet Veterinarian segment with Dr. Jeff Goodall from Sunnyview Animal Care in Bedford right after the update. Back. Dr. Jeff Goodall is here. He's here to answer your questions about your pets for the last time this year. 902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. Dr. Jeff, let's get right to the phones and welcome Kevin to the show. Kevin, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Your question for Dr. Jeff, please.
Good. Hi, Doctor. So, Doctor, I have a Border Collie. It's the second one I have. I had my first one for 14 years. He is so scared of anything that has wheels on it, like a bike or a trike or a motorcycle. So
okay.
He barks at us, and then he starts shaking.
Okay, so no offense. What's your question, my friend?
So my question is, how can I get him used to like bikes?
Okay, well, how old's your dog?
4.
Okay.
Sorry. He's a rescue, so I don't know what happened before I got him.
Okay, so how long have you had him?
A year.
Okay. So have you taken him to like just basic behavior training with a trainer, learning how to sit, stay, all the stuff that's never a bad idea to review with a new dog anyway?
Yeah, no, he's very good at that. Like he's well trained.
Okay, so I got to interrupt you. I run into this all the time. So basically, I can't overstate to remind your pup and you of some basic training to start. And then the trainer, so, I know it's a, 10-week thing once a week. And I know your dog's already trained, but he's also, he or she's also having some issues. And so by going through some basic training and having a good behaviorist or trainer watch, they can try to figure out, the trainer can help you and together work out the body language, the stimuli that are, he's basically got a maladaptive fear, right? He's exhibiting signs of fear to a stimulus that's not dangerous. And there are exaggerated fear responses, can eventually get worse, cause emotional health problems, they can be maladaptive. The maladaptive fear can be, chronic stress related, lead to chronic stress, lead your dog, which is already a hypervigilant dog, to be even more hypervigilant. So the sooner we start working with just the basics to start, and then watching the anticipation of the problem, you can start to work with them. For example, like a wrap, I can't think of it suddenly. The thunder wraps, thunder coats, things like that would be one thing to start thinking about. Like, we don't want to be going to medication. We need to work with training. And so classical training can help with mild fear. And the sooner you get on this, the better and more likely the outcome is going to be from just training. And I'm not talking about the 10-week course is enough to train him out of his fear. The 10-week course is for you, for the trainer, to be able to see your pup in different scenarios. Some trainers make them go up and down teeter-totters. Some trainers can bring a bike into the training area and show you how to let him sniff the bike and get understanding that this is what it's going to smell like, and then have somebody on it. Like, you've got to baby step your way to it, and to the anxiety, and the different stimuli. And then the trainer can also help you understand how to, I guess, you don't want to attempt to punish or scold or anything like that, but how you can remain calm and steady and use gentle, even just petting, or let the pet lean into you. I had an anxious dog is where I'm going. And she was a very responsive, well-trained puppy dog. But when she would get nervous, she just wouldn't get scared. She would lash forward. She would lash out. So I had to train her. And it sounds silly to the listening audience, but I trained with the help of a great trainer to, when she was getting upset and I watched her body language, or I saw the situation, coming towards us, I would get her off the sidewalk, if I could, and sit her into a nice sit. And I trained her to put her chin in my hand. And then I just stroked between her eyes. And that's kind of Western and Eastern medicine all combined. And she'd look over, like she'd leave her head. She knew if her head was in my hand, nothing's going to happen to her. And I can't overstate the importance of getting a trainer to get to know your dog with that basic training. And then you, him or her, and your puppy dog work together to basically help you not get anxious, because let's be straight, you may not think you are, but your dog is picking up on your pheromones. When you see that bike coming or that car or whatever, you're going to start being reactive. You just don't know it sometimes. And the dog's going to already be reactive. Then it's going to look at you for cues, and the thing just spins. So professional guidance is really recommended here. Moving ahead too quickly on your own without good guidance can just actually result in more fear. So there's your long answer. I hope that helps. But let's get on that first thing in the new year.
Appreciate it, Kevin. Best of luck. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Let's get another call in here before the break. We welcome Jeffy to the program. Jeffy, how are you?
Good. Yourself?
Good. Your question for the doctor, please.
Yeah, so we've got a cat that we got about 2020, the year 2020. He's a rescue. He was about 5 years old when we got him. And the wife and I have been talking about, bathing him at home. We know a lot of people do that. We just don't know if it's safe or not. And if it is safe, what would be the steps that you would recommend taking if that's something that we should be able to do?
Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm trying not to laugh. I really just find this humorous for a minute, and I apologize. You're talking about bathing the cat, correct?
Yeah, just putting him in the tub, right? We've seen other people do.
Okay.
We've got
I understand. The reason I'm asking is, do you want to live dangerously or not? Like, is the cat going outside and getting dirty?
He's not. He's an inside cat. He's never been outside. We don't let him outside.
Then I'm sorry, I'm trying not to laugh. I'm just imagining. Like, I've seen our groomer. Well, we had a groomer for years, and she was amazing. She was able to bath our clinic cat, and our clinic cat is not normal. But most cats are not going to take bathing well, so I wouldn't even go there. Unless you absolutely have to groom or and even then, just a reasonable combing is going to get most of the dandruff and any other things out, especially those longer-haired cats. The sooner, for the listening audience, the sooner you start brushing, combing, that's you combing your cat lightly, as a kitten, the better it's going to be. And cats socialize by grooming. So the sooner you use regular combing to remove loose hair, dead skin, et cetera, and getting rid of the dirt and debris and what have you, you'll bond your cat more easily. Like, we have a cat who's a little long-haired, and he was a rescue, and I get where you're going, and good for you to rescue. The problem is some of these cats and dogs come with their predisposed phobias. I would try to comb daily. That also helps with hairballs. And just don't go to the tub or the sink. If you do, you're gonna end up in a merge sometimes. Like, I'm laughing because unfortunately I've seen it. If you need to remove tangles or mats or things like that, if it's minor, just, pull on the sides of the hair around the mat, and you can usually pull the hair away from the mat itself, and then use your judgment. It hurts, so the cat will not necessarily like it, so do a little bit and go from there. And it might be a few days to get the mat out. Bathing, just to be more serious, and I apologize again, I'm just finding this humorous, the need will vary with age and underlying health conditions. So an overweight cat, or for the listening audience, an arthritic cat, you may have to wash their bum because they just can't get to their rear area to clean themselves. For the listening audience, not for you specifically, if you find your cat needs to be bathed, especially around the bum end, it's worth a visit to your vet, because there are dry shampoos out there and special kind of shampoos that you can use that avoid the bathing, if you will. No baby shampoo. I see that way too often. It's not pH balanced it's pH balanced for babies, human babies. It's not pH balanced for cats. And a lot of the products I see in the pet store, and I'm not dumping on the pet stores, but a lot of that stuff is Dawn dish soap, to be blunt. And it's a great product. It removes stains, it removes all kinds of things, and it can remove your cat's skin. So, hypoallergenic shampoos in the store are not necessarily that great. But I guess for the listening audience, if you have a new kitten, you can try introducing bathing as when they're young, after you've trimmed their toes. It's difficult to train an adult cat to accept bathing, is my point. So I hope that helps.
Jeffy, appreciate it, and best of luck. And I can appreciate.
I'm sorry, I'm just laughing, and I shouldn't be. I'm just finding it very interesting.
It's very interesting, Dr. Jeff. But just very quickly before we go to the break, it was something that I was thinking about when we were talking about jackets and putting a cat in a jacket. You might end up in the same emergency room, right?
Right. Oh, right. Yes. And I'm sorry, I know we got to go to break. Remember that odd hair coat or changes in your cat's hair coat can be an indicator of health issues. Forgot to say that.
Fair enough. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Dr. Jeff is back right after the break. Welcome back, Dr. Jeff, with us to the top of the hour, 902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. Let's get right to the phone lines and welcome Greg to the show. Greg, how are you?
Good, Dan. How are you?
Good. Your question, please.
Yes. Hello, Dr. Jeff. I have two questions, if I may. We have a 7-month-old little kitten, and I'm wondering what are the best cat treats? The little packages that you buy at the dollar store, are they okay for the kitten?
Noted question. Actually, I can't comment. I'm going to say I hope so, but I don't know. I mean, there's so many products out there that there's just too many in number for any veterinarian to keep up on. Treats generally, if it's brand name, like I can't think of Tender, whatever the heck the one is that the cats jump through walls for, it's probably fine. Maybe, I don't know. I honestly, I only feed, of course, it's what I do. So I feed the veterinary company cat treats, either Royal Canin or Purina Veterinary. So I'm not trying to avoid the question. I just don't know. There's just too many products out there for me to keep track of. Treats in general are usually not healthy. So, 1 or 2 or 3 a day, and that's it. So if that's the case, you should be fine. What's your second question there, my friend?
The one, I talked to a friend of mine. She, like I said, she's only 7 months old. When or is it ever appropriate to give your cat catnip?
Oh, well, catnip is fine. I mean, about now is the time that a kitten would be responsive to it. Most cats don't develop the nose sensitivity, if you will, for catnip until they're over 6 months of age anyway. So using treats and or catnip to train your cat. I mean, cats can be trained. You're fine to do that, and having a little bit of catnip growing in a tray on the windowsill, as long as the cat can't knock it down or trip into it and cause themselves problems, you should be just fine with it. Yep, you should be just fine. It's a source of fiber. Some people say it makes a difference in hairballs too. I don't know if I'm convinced, but there you go.
Thanks, Greg. I appreciate it. Very quickly, Dr. Jeff, email question came in before the show today along these same lines, and the writer wanted to know what the difference is between catnip and silver vine.
Did you say silver vine?
I did.
I've never heard of it, so I guess I hate to do this. I'm going to go right on Google. Actinidia palgamia, a kiwi fruit, alternative to catnip. Yep, I'm going to have to read about it. I really appreciate. That's why I love doing the show.
Right.
I'm going to have to read up on it, and now I've never heard of it before. I'll have to ask my other vets as well. My other vets, the team that work at the clinic. I would like to think it's not unhealthy. I'm actually on a veterinary website right now looking at it, so chances are it's going to be okay, but I honestly don't know the answer definitively. But I really appreciate those kind of questions. That's where we're all going to win. It's called Metabi as well, just for the listening public, and it does have an intoxicating effect, just like catnip. So there you go.
You have some homework for the holidays, Dr. Jeff.
Yeah, thanks. I need more.
Fair enough. Last word today goes to Stephanie. Stephanie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Your question for Dr. Jeff, please.
I'm traveling with my Yorkie, and I am wondering, and we're going on a plane, of course, and I'm wondering if there's anything that you recommend to help with the anxiety that comes with the travel.
Are you traveling like in the next week?
No, traveling, the 9th, yeah.
Did you say tonight?
No, on the 9th.
Of January. Okay.
9th. Yeah.
Call your vet right now. And I'm not fooling around. Call your vet right now and ask if, because it's not, you don't need an appointment for this, right? Or at least shouldn't. Just ask them about tramadol or gabapentin or trazodone, probably gabapentin and trazodone combined will help tranquilize your dog, reduce their anxiety, but not sedate them. In the old times, when I first graduated over 30 years ago, other drugs were used, and it really could lead to lethargy and things like that. So you can talk to your vet knows your dog, so I don't want to get too deep into what to use, but and then the other underlying health conditions. But you've got a very short window to trial out a few doses of the gabapentin, trazodone, or combined. You can also keep in mind that there are pheromones, calming pheromones. Adaptil is the one for dogs you can spray on their bed before you take them in the car, because Adaptil's got a very strong smell when you first spray it on, so it can be relaxing. I mentioned earlier for another client with some anxiety, or another caller with some anxiety, the Thunder Shirt, the wrap, is never a bad idea. There's also naturopathic things like I want to say theanine. I'm just rushing along here and I don't like doing that. Nutricom is another great product. And then Common Care by Purina Veterinary Diet. It's a natural probiotic that does seem to have profound effects. And these are all additive. So you can add common care to the diet and starting now. And it's inexpensive. You don't have to have a prescription for it. You just have to go to your vet and sprinkle that on the food. That'll start changing your dog's gut chemistry, which will reduce anxiety. Then you can add in xylkine, which is a milk casein that has been shown, casein is a protein in milk, has been shown to reduce anxiety. You get the dog on that, and that, both of these take maybe less than 2 weeks to have an effect, and you're right in that zone of travel. And then you have the trazodone and or gabapentin or both in case the travel just isn't going right. And because I don't always like to necessarily go to medication, I'd like to try supplements first. We're just in a really tight timeline. So I'm not fooling around. Literally, call your vet right now. Ask them for some common care. Ask them for some Nutricom or something similar, or xylkine, and then their opinion on trazodone and gabapentin. Have a great trip.
Thanks, Stephanie. Appreciate it. Thanks to all of you who joined the conversation. Truly appreciate it. And mostly, thank you to you, Dr. Jeff Goodall. Best of the season to you, to your furry friends, and to your family. And we're looking forward to our next chat in 2026.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to everybody out there. And for Todd, Ollie, and Minnie, take care, brother. And Jan, you take care too. And Vanessa, keep working the board. It's great.
She's a rock star. I appreciate it, Dr. Jeff.
Bye, guys.
That is Dr. Jeff Goodall. He joins us once a month to answer our pet questions and lots of valuable advice as we head into the new year. That's going to do it, folks, for the Thursday edition of the Todd Veinotte Show. I'll send my thanks now to Vanessa Van Inez on the other side of the glass, doing fantastic work each and every day, keeping this show moving forward as opposed to sideways, or if I'm running it, backwards. Awesome work for her. Tomorrow, of course, the fabulous Friday edition of the show, and this one even more fabulous than usual. We're going to have a 30-minute conversation, a year-end interview tomorrow with the mayor of HRM. Andy Fillmore will be joining us. Lots to talk to the mayor about, lots of thorny subjects to talk to the mayor about. I know he's looking forward to it, and I know you're looking forward to it as well. Tim Powers will be here. We'll dig into the cruise season that was, and what's happening with the Khyber building downtown. Hopefully some answers about that and some other stuff as part of the Friday edition. Until then, everybody, I hope that you get out there and enjoy what Nova Scotia has to offer. We've got a beautiful day in front of us today. It's going to get a little bit stormy Friday afternoon, but you can still get out there and enjoy what we have to offer. We're so lucky to live where we do. Have a fantastic day, everyone. Be well, and remember, be kind to one another.